live for day 17 of the 30-day challenge, talking about searching for maintaining peace. A great little book on spirituality by Jacques Philippe. I was a Catholic psych mentor. I think this is like something that I love to come back to time and time again, where like, what is the point of the work that I do with folks? It's to help people find greater peace. That's what I do as a mentor. It's not to eliminate the symptoms. It's not to problem solve and like provide coping solutions. And a lot of times that's what you get in like secular therapy models, but it's actually to help people have like true abiding peace. And sometimes that means there's symptom reductions. Like hopefully there's symptom reductions. You feel less depressed, you feel less anxiety, or feel a general healthiness in life. But like one of the best things that we do when we combine a Catholic anthropology into our model is to understand like suffering is a part of our reality. You know, we look at the cross and we can understand that like actually there's some meaning to the suffering. And that's what Jacques Philippe talks about in some of these chapters on peace, is that we can like actually have peace even in the midst of suffering, in the midst of like suffering with other people, our own suffering. And one of the ways that he comes back to oftentimes is suffering when we're not good enough, right? Like when we have our own perfectionist parts going off, when we are struggling with our own faults, we start to beat ourselves up. And don't get me wrong, like there's certainly a healthiness to like reviewing ourselves. And in fact, like that actually helps us lead to greater freedom, which leads to greater peace, is like when we do allow ourselves to tap into this self-reflection, self-awareness, and to see the broken areas of our lives. Like that can be really freeing and really healthy. But when it becomes an excessive amount of self-evaluation, an excessive amount of like looking at ourselves again and again and again, then that becomes ensnaring. That becomes the problem. The thing that traps us is because we are constantly looking at ourselves and not plugged into a deeper reality where, yes, it's good to look at ourselves and to see areas where we can grow. But at the end of the day, it comes back to an abandonment to divine providence. So I see people rolling in here. Something that I want people to do in the comment section as they're tuning in is to let me know how you're doing with a comment on how you're feeling today. And not just any comment, but a comment with an emoji. A simple emoji, no words. If you need words to explain that, let me know. But go ahead and throw an emoji down there in the comment section below. But what we've been doing in this 30-day live challenge is talking about peace and how it's desperately needed in today's world. We live in a world that is like constantly filled with noise, tension, and technology. Like a lot of people here are probably scrolling through YouTube or Facebook. You're catching this and you're like, I guess I'll tune into this Nick guy. I'll see what he has to say. And you're here. I'm glad you're here. But why are we like constantly finding ourselves pulled into like more noise and not finding peace? And that's what this whole series is about, is like finding greater peace. In today's section, we're talking about one of the hardest things in finding peace is the way that we treat ourselves when we make a mistake. You know, when we make a mistake, like what goes on in our interior world. And like for me, like I got my own perfectionist voice in the background that's like constantly looking back and seeing like, oh, how could have I done that a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, or a voice that's like constantly preparing for the future. And the reality is like we need to acknowledge there's something good about like having a plan. There's something good about learning from our mistakes. But the only place where we can really try and find peace is here in the present moment. And for those of you who are listening, like even acknowledge that right now. Like, you know, don't think about the next part of your day. Don't think about the million things that you could have fixed before. But like let yourself actually enter into this present moment where it's like, okay, what is going on for me here and now? What am I experiencing in this moment? And can I be at peace with that? Can I accept that? Because that's what leads to true freedom. Like to acknowledge fully like, okay, I'm feeling tired because it's the middle of the afternoon for those of us on the East Coast. That's okay. Like there's somebody who I can trust is going to be taking care of me through this tiredness. And like allowing ourselves to be here in this present moment is the only place where we can truly encounter God. And that's what this whole thing is about, the fastest way to really like finding peace is learning how to abandon ourselves. And how do we abandon ourselves? It's by being plugged into the present moment, because we're bound by time and God is not. God is not bound by time, but we are. And so it's important that we learn how to navigate our interior life, not to fight against it. Like, we can use the gifts that God gives us, but to navigate it in a way that we can return to the present moment again and again and again. So that way we can be in relationship with the Lord, who has our best interest in mind, and then we can live in a life of freedom each and every moment, which it sounds like a far off task for some of us, but it's totally possible. It's totally possible. And so that's the encouragement that I want to leave you today, is that like peace is found in the here and now. It's not found trying to problem solve all the future problems that you'll ever have, or by trying to go back and trying to solve and like fix everything you've done in the past. But like accepting both those realities, and accepting the most important realities, that right here, right now, you are loved by God. And the best thing you can do is acknowledge that and take a step in the direction which like allows you to express that love to the world. So I'll leave it